Hi guys, this is Fearless and Fiery for Christ, and here's another video for all y'all. And today we're talking about the so-called Star of David, and I will also touch a bit on the pentagram. You see friends, the purpose of starting this channel is I felt a calling on my life to expose the works of darkness that are in this world. And that is what we are told to do in Ephesians 5:11, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. We are not to have fellowship with the unfruitful and evil deeds that are in this world, but rather we are to expose them. If the Lord opens your eyes to something, then it is only fair and it is only right that you expose it, that you share what it is that you have learned. And talking about sharing, guys, I learned a new word about 2 weeks ago. The word is exoteric. But I had learned another word a couple of months before that. Esoteric. Esoteric, meaning intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. Secretive. The kind of information is held in secret by only a few number of people. But then we have exoteric, which is intended for or likely to be understood by the general public. And that is what I have discovered, that in this world, this very plastic, it seems to me, and fake world full of deception. But thank God that God is in control, and so he allows things to happen. But there's a lot of deception in this world, and so we seem to see a lot of stuff thrown in our faces, a lot of information that is intended to be consumed by the masses. That is exoteric for the masses, for the general public. But then there's information that is only known by a few, but thank God that God exposes these things and the rest of us get to know. I believe that as much as we're living in the age of deception, we are also living at a time where this spiritual law applies, that everything hidden will be revealed. As much as the devil is trying to, and he is deceiving a lot of people, and he has deceived us through the ages, he has completely forgotten, or he does not care about this spiritual law, that everything hidden will be revealed. It's a law. It's like if you try to sink this soccer ball, you try to sink it in a bucket of water, it will just come up. And so this is a spiritual law. I believe that whatever it is you're hiding, it will come to pass. It will come to be known. Anyway, so continuing. Let's talk about the Star of David, or rather the so-called Star of David. What is it all about? Is it really King David's star? Does it have anything to do with the Bible, or is there some esoteric meaning behind it? But before I get into that, let's take a look at the pentagram, because they look so similar to the Star of David. And when we go back in history, we will find that pentagrams were used very, very early back, like it goes back centuries, thousands of years. Pentagrams were used symbolically in ancient Greece and also in Babylon, and they were used for protection in ancient Greece. The pentagram has been used in Nordic countries such as Norway and Sweden to ward off trolls and evil in general, and was drawn on doors and walls. And even in Japanese culture, the pentagram, known as the gobosei, is a symbol of magical power. The pentagram clearly has magical associations. Even now, many people who practice neo-pagan faiths wear jewelry incorporating the symbol, and it is used by many Wiccans. By the way, NeoPaganism is a term for new religious movements that are influenced by or derived from the various, ancient historical pagan beliefs of pre-modern people. I like to think of it like, the ancient mystery religions, that's what it's called, neo-paganism or modern paganism. And so beliefs like Wicca, you will find them revering the pentagram, and it is also used as a symbol by other belief systems like the Baha'i, and it is associated with Freemasonry, like with the Order of the Eastern Star. Freemasonry, with all the secrets they have in the upper echelons. Yes. So Eliphas Levi, who was a French occult author and ceremonial magician, his real name was Alphonso Louise, had this to say about the pentagram. A reversed pentagram with 2 points projecting upwards is a symbol of evil and attracts sinister forces because it overturns the proper order of things and demonstrates the triumph of matter over spirit. He said that in his book, Transcendental Magic, Its Doctrine and Ritual. He also said that the flaming star, which when turned upside down, is the hieroglyphic sign of the goat of black magic, goat, Baphomet, whose head may be drawn in the star, the 2 horns at the top, the ears to the right and left, the beard at the bottom. It is the sign of antagonism and fatality. It is the goat of lust, attacking the heavens with its horns. Thus he says, a guy who knew his thing in occultism. And then he says, let us keep the figure of the 5-pointed star always upright, with the topmost triangle pointing to heaven, for it is the seat of wisdom, and if the figure is reversed, perversion and evil will be the result. Do you see anything good with this star, guys? Do you see anything holy? So he says, the topmost triangle should point to heaven. Which heaven, guys? Which heaven? Because there's a lot of talk of heaven. But let us not assume that this heaven is God's dwelling, for we are told in Ephesians 6 verse 12, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places, guys, in the heavens. And let us not forget that the devil is the prince of the power of the air up there in the heavens. Continuing on with the pentagram, the sigil of Baphomet is the official insignia of the Church of Satan and is trademarked and copyrighted by the Church of Satan. That's another pentagram, guys. That's another pentagram. Now, the hexagram, or so-called Star of David, which became a symbol of Judaism in the modern period and was placed on the flag of the State of Israel in 1948, has its origins in 14th century depictions of the Seal of Solomon. The Seal of Solomon, also called the Ring of Solomon, is the signet ring attributed to King Solomon in medieval Jewish tradition and in Islamic and Western occultism. Even this Freemasonry orders, and even in the occult, you will see that they draw a lot from the Bible. They're always speaking this and the other. They like to talk a lot about Solomon. They like to talk a lot about the Apostle John. But they're just picking things, because that's what the devil does. He transforms himself into an angel of light, putting a bit of truth here and lots of lies and half-truths. Now, the seal of Solomon was often depicted in either a pentagram or hexagram shape, the latter also known as the Star of David in Jewish tradition. This ring supposedly gave Solomon the power to command demons and spirits, or to speak with animals. Now, Bill Schnabel said in his book, "To the sorcerer, the hexagram is a powerful tool to invoke the God of this world. In fact, this is where the word hex, as in putting a hex or curse on people, comes from." That is Bill Schnabel, a former Satanist, a former Freemasonic guy, now Christian. He wrote the book Lucifer Dethroned. But when you can Google him, but one of the pages you will find just at the top of the searches is an article from rationalwiki.com, and they tried to make him look like he's this cray guy, he's loony, talking about how he was a former Satanist, and they really try to discredit him. But this is what I've also noticed, guys, that when you try to expose this Luciferian system and its minions, they will either kill you or discredit you, or both. Nevertheless, this brother Bill Schnabel has written that book Lucifer Dethroned, which I'm planning to read one of these days, and he's written also a couple of more books. And so the truth is, you will not find a verse anywhere in the Bible that speaks of a Star of David. Guys, you will not. If you love to read the word, you will agree with me that you have not found anywhere in the Bible talk of a Star of David. Not in 2nd Chronicles or 1st Chronicles, not in the book of Kings, not in the book of Samuel, where there's a lot of talk of King David and his descendants. You will not find it. So where did they get this? It's tradition, guys. And as you dig deeper, as you remove the layers, you find that this has absolutely nothing to do with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but it is steeped in occultism and magic. Because in antiquity, the most commonly used symbol of Judaism was the menorah, the 7-branched, candelabrum that stood in the temple in Jerusalem. That has been the symbol used until it was replaced by the so-called Star of David. So in the Bible, do we find mention of a star? Of course, like when Jesus was born, we're told about a star, and the wise men from the east, they followed the star. But in Amos 5:26, there's a mention of a star. "Did you offer me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? You also carried Sikuth your king, and hewn your idols, the star of your gods, which you made for yourselves." You can also read Acts 7:43, which talks about the star of your god, Remphan. So yes, the Bible talks about a star, but it is not the star of Yahweh, it is not the star of the Messiah, it is not the star of David. It is a star of a false god, Remphan. So granted, those verses may not mention whether the star is 5-sided or 6-sided, but the point is that the Israelites in those days, when they had turned away from Yahweh, they revered a star, acknowledging some pagan god. The Star of David, the so-called Star of David, gained popularity as a symbol of Judaism when it was adopted as the emblem of the Zionist movement in 1897. And when the modern state of Israel was founded in 1948, then both there it was, put on the flag. But when we dig a little deeper, I came across this information from the book The Bloodlines of the Illuminati, written by Frigg Springmeier, a very good book. That author clearly is a researcher because he digs deep. He leaves a gazillion footnotes in every chapter, and so I take him seriously, and I take the information that he shares quite seriously. He says in his book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati, he mentions a gentleman called Mayer Amschel Bauer, who was a well-off coin trader in Frankfurt. In front of his house hung a sign with the family symbol, which was a red hexagram. The hexagram, also known as the Seal of Solomon, the Magdalene David, or the Star of David, is very occultic. The six-pointed star is considered the equivalent of the Oriental yin and yang symbol, which is the Luciferian concept of balancing good and evil. And so later on, Jewish Kabbalism or occultism, different name, same game, picked it up as a magic symbol. And remember, guys, this hexagram, pentagram, those stars, they go years back to the Greeks, to the Babylonians, to the Arabians, and it all had to do with magic, guys, with occultism. So he continues, through the promotion of the Kabbalists and the Zionists, it has become the symbol of Jewish identity, although the occult circles know better. The Bauer's use of a hexagram as their family sign points to their involvement in Jewish Kabbalism. In fact, the six-pointed star was so significant to them that Mayer Amschel Bauer decided to adopt it as his new name, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, Red Shield. And so the author says that he believes this was done to identify his family with occultism. So you can see it goes back centuries earlier to the Rothschilds family, Red Shield. The six-pointed star, says O.J. Graham, the author who wrote the book The Six-Pointed Star. He says the six-pointed star is used as a standby for magicians and alchemists. The sorcerers believed it represented the footprints of a special kind of demon called a trad, and used it in ceremonies both to call up demons and to keep them away. Guys, nothing to do with Yahweh, nothing to do with the holiness and the goodness of God. It's all magic. And it is obvious to me, friends, and probably obvious to you now, that Yahweh has not and cannot put his seal of approval on a symbol with such dark satanic roots. It is obvious, guys. It is obvious to me. It is obvious to me that something that has the Rothschilds' fingers all over it is not something that personally I can trust. It is something where I really have to put my eyebrows up and wonder. There's nothing holy about this symbol. Nothing holy, friends. But why is it that we're seeing more and more satanic symbols being boldly shown by celebrities and all? It is because, friends, the Antichrist spirit is all over, and it is permeating the society more and more as the day approaches for the son of perdition to reveal himself, the Antichrist. So, friends, let us clothe ourselves with truth, because the whole world, it lies in the power of the wicked one. That is what the word tells us. Let us clothe ourselves with truth, friends. Ask the Lord for discernment, because we are living in deceptive times. And do not be quick to adopt the symbols that are flashed in our faces by the so-called who's who of this world, because they are pushing an agenda that if you are a follower of Christ, you do not want to be a part of. Be blessed, friends.